The parties in Libya remain far apart on even beginning negotiations to resolve the conflict. The Libyan government has repeatedly called for a ceasefire, including an end to NATO operations, as a prerequisite for negotiations. For its part, the TNC maintains that negotiations on a ceasefire and other related aspects can only start with the removal from power of Colonel Gaddafi and members of his family, and the withdrawal of the Libyan army from cities forcibly occupied after the outbreak of hostilities, and stop the atrocities being committed against their people. Tensions between refugees and local residents along the border have escalated. Unrest at Chocha camp in Tunisia on 23-24 May resulted in the deaths of 4 camp residents and injury of 19 others. On 27 May, 2/3 of the camp was looted or burned. The humanitarian community and the Tunisian government are now discussing the security, the location, and the composition of this camp in Tunisia. Approximately 3,000 refugees, mainly from Côte d'Ivoire, Eritrea, and Somalia, live in the camp, only accessible by sea. The foreign minister and his delegation noted they were willing to work with the special envoy and asked the UN and the AU to declare a ceasefire that would include a stop of the NATO airstrikes and then organize elections. He proposed that an election be organized by the AU and the UN, adding that Colonel Gaddafi would respect the will of the people in such an election.
As spring turns to summer, we are feeling the heat of terrible events in some parts of the region as we continue to witness legitimate claims being met with repression and extreme violence by forces determined to extend the dark winter. The brutality and magnitude of measures taken by the governments in Libya and now Syria have been particularly shocking in their outright disregard for basic human rights, heavy-handed repression of protests, including the use of lethal force in Bahrain and Yemen. I am also concerned over the rhetoric of recent months in Italy and France in particular, to depict migrants as a singular problem best offloaded elsewhere. The narrow reflex response, both across the European Schengen area generally and in individual states such as Denmark, to move to reintroduce internal controls and regulation of flows of goods or persons across the area as a response to the current crisis misses the real challenge, which is to work together to ensure respect of all persons' rights, wherever situated and however they may have arrived.